Hello and welcome to this today's webinar about CISOs and ISMS maintenance. So let's wait a minute for everyone to join, and while actually we're waiting for everyone to join, where are you calling from? So just if you can send me a message through chat so that I can see you know how far and where people are joining from. I'm calling in from Zagreb, from Croatia, and how about you? And okay, while we are waiting for your answers, your inputs, let me just give you a couple of notes. So first of all, we are recording this webinar, and you'll be able to watch the recording of this webinar at the same page where you registered for the webinar. So you simply have to go back to this same page if you want to see the recording of the webinar. Also, you'll be able to download the presentation deck from this webinar, and we'll publish this PDF presentation deck after the webinar. You'll see this. I'll also let you know where exactly we were going to publish it, but basically it's going to be published again in the same page where you joined this webinar in the comments section. So just go for the comments and you will see the link to download the presentation deck after the webinar. Okay, so yeah, basically let me start the main part of the presentation. Okay, so welcome to this webinar called CISO's Role in ISMS Maintenance According to ISO 27001. My name is Dejan Kosutic, and I'm the main ISO 27001 NIS2 and DORA expert at Advisera. Advisera is a company that makes compliance easy to understand and simple to use. This webinar today is streamed through LinkedIn live events and through YouTube Live. And the webinar will last approximately 40, maybe 60 minutes. It really depends on the amount of questions I'll get during the webinar. And by all means, please do ask as many questions as you want. So you can ask the questions during my presentation. You can also ask it at the end in the Q&A session. Feel free to ask, because you know it's this will make the webinar more interesting, and also this will also help me actually direct the webinar in the direction of where you're interested in the most. Okay, very well. So let's move on to the next slide. And so why is this really topic of maintenance important? Well, it's important because you know, if your company is certified against ISO 27001, this certification will remain valid only if you maintain your ISMS. In other words, if you're basically doing all the activities that I'll explain you later in the webinar today. So if you're doing all of these activities properly, then this means that you are maintaining the ISMS, and this means that the certification auditor, once he or she comes to a surveillance visit, that actually they can be able to confirm that you are maintaining this ISMS. So basically, the webinar, the focus of the webinar today will be, first of all, what is the role of the security officer or CISO according to ISO 27001, and also what are the activities that a company needs to perform as part of this, what the CISO needs to do for ISO 27001, and also what will be the what are these activities, security activities, maintenance activities that CISO needs to coordinate. And this webinar today is intended for, you know, chief information security officer or any other professionals, you know, consultants or anyone else who is in charge of managing security in a company according to ISO 27001. Okay, now one of the main points that I will actually show you during the webinar today is that you know, maintaining the ISMS is not something that you can do, you know, a couple of minutes per day. It's I would say a larger task than this, and actually the maintaining of the ISMS ultimately will require more effort than the initial implementation. Now, why is this so? This is so because the maintenance is continuous, it's never ending, right? So as long as you are actually having the ISMS, as long as you want to systematically manage your security, this is basically something that you have to do on a continuous basis. So ultimately you will have to, you know, invest, I would say, considerable effort into maintaining this. Now, I'm not saying here that you have to spend time on some kind of an overhead. I'm just saying that continuously operating and continuously doing all the security activities takes time. This is not something that can be, let's say, outsourced, or that can be, you know, simply done through some paperwork, because this is, you know, where you really have to do operational things, security things on a basically daily basis. Of course, I'll show you all the activities during the webinar, but again, my point here is that this can't be, I would say, taken lightly. This is something that you have to do pretty seriously. Okay, so let's see the agenda for today. And by the way, let me know through chat which of these topics you find the most interesting, and this will give me an idea on which topics I should focus on during the presentation, where I should spend most of the time. So I'll go through these topics, and again, if you want me to focus on something specifically, simply send me a chat message, and then I'll actually make sure to spend more time on these topics that you're interested in the most. Good. So first, the topic is what is the typical role for a CISO, for a security officer in an ISMS. I'll also explain what the standard does require, what it doesn't require, these kind of things. And then I'll explain what will the certification auditor look for when it comes to maintenance. So basically, what is the practice of these certification auditors. And then what are the maintenance responsibilities? So who should do what regarding maintenance? Also, how to deal with people, how to deal with, I would say, resistance of the employees, because that is very often the case. That is very often the problem when it comes to managing security, is that people are simply rejecting this. And I'll show you a couple of techniques on how to overcome these problems. Also, I'll show you which tools you could use for enabling easier maintenance of the ISMS. And of course, at the end, we will also have a Q&A session. Okay, yeah, I see an input from Babak. So how to deal with people. Okay, definitely I'll cover this as well. So this is one of the topics that I'll certainly go through and give you some let's say, ideas on how to overcome this resistance. Okay, very well. So let's move on with this basically first topic on the agenda, and this is really what is a typical CISO role in the ISMS. And there comes you know, a big disappointment, because ISO 27001 does not require a security officer. Okay, as you know, strange as it sounds, this is true. So there is no, you know, any kind of specification in the standard that there needs to be a central role for managing security. Now, of course, in, I would say, all the companies that we worked with, there always is someone who is actually in charge of security. Of course, the bigger the company is, the more professional this role is. So I would say, if there is more than 500 employees, typically you would always have a Chief Information Security Officer. Even if you have more than 200 employees, this is a very common role. If this is a smaller company, then in most cases, you know, this security officer, Chief Information Security Officer, is typically not a separate role. It could be someone who actually, it could be, for example, if you are, I don't know, if you have 20 employees, of course you're not going to have a separate a full-time role for security. And in this case, I don't know, Chief Technology Officer might act as a security officer in parallel to his or her job. So again, this I would say this interpretation on how to manage security is really up to each company to define on their own what fits their, let's say, size the best, what fits their risks the best, what fits the regulations, and so on. Because in some cases, you know, for some industries, there is a mandatory role of security officer. So in these cases, of course, you would need to have a separate person doing this. Of course, you could also have a fractional CISO or vCISO, so someone who is actually acting as a security officer as an outsourced role, and then this person is not full-time, then this person could be acting as this CISO only on, let's say, a fractional basis. So basically, I don't know, 1 or 2 days per week or something like this. So all of these combinations are perfectly fine when it comes to ISO 27001. Okay, when it comes to reporting, usually this person, I mean this security officer, reports directly to the senior management. This is called top management in ISO 27001. So it's the best really if the CISO reports directly to, let's say, the CIO, the Chief Information Officer, or potentially Chief Technology Officer, or even directly to the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO. So it's usually the best because I mean, since cybersecurity is becoming more and more important for, I would say, most of the companies, it's important that there is this direct link between the main person in charge of cybersecurity and the senior management. Okay, so there are also, of course, other roles, other people in the company that have, I would say, touch points with security. The most obvious one is, let's say, IT department or you know, software development, DevOps. So basically all of these, let's say, departments which are, I would say, more or less related to IT. The best, I would say, practice is that security officer is not part of these IT departments. Why? Because there should be, you know, this security officer should avoid conflict of interest. So typically, the security officer does not report to, let's say, head of IT department. Rather, security officer really is usually, I would say, a peer to, let's say, head of IT. They might report to the same person, but again, because of this avoiding of conflict of interest, it's the best practice that CISO is not part of IT department. Of course, there might be also a security committee, and you know, it's something that the standard, I mean, 27001 does not prescribe. So you could have a security committee, especially if you're a larger organization. For a smaller company, you normally don't have this kind of committees, and then CISO directly reports to the top management. Okay, now the question is, so just to go a little bit in depth about this avoiding conflict of interest. So one, I would say, thing that should be taken into account is, you know, this IT department, but another role that should also be avoided in terms of conflict of interest is internal auditing. So the ISO 27001 is specific here. It says that you know, the internal auditor may not be in a conflict of interest with some other roles in the company. So if you have a security officer who is in charge of security and does everything or manages this security, then the same person cannot be also the internal auditor, because that would be a conflict of interest, because then the security officer would audit basically his or her own work, and this simply wouldn't be possible. This wouldn't be actually acceptable. So you need to keep this in mind, that internal auditor needs to be someone who is not in charge of managing security, therefore cannot be CISO. Yeah, okay, there are actually two articles that are interesting from the that you can actually take a look. One is this, what is the job of Chief Information Security Officer in 27001. So if you click this link in the chat window, you'll be able to open this article and read it. And just to mention, so if you connected through YouTube, you'll be able to click this link and open it directly. If you connected through LinkedIn, then because of some limitations in LinkedIn, you can't really click this link that you see in the chat window. The workaround for this is that you simply copy this URL and then paste it into your browser, and then you will be able to open it. And we will also post all these links after the webinar ends, and then you will be able to click them. They will be posted then in this clickable format. So after the webinar, you will see these same links for LinkedIn in a clickable format. Okay, another article that might be interesting is this Chief Information Security Officer. Where does he belong in an org chart? So this is also something that you can take a look just to get let's say a better feeling on these things. Okay, also documenting the role. So ISO 27001 does not specify how you need to document the role of CISO. It does require you to document this security role. And basically there are two, I would say, ways to do it. First one is to have, I would say, a central document which specifies all the roles and responsibilities of a CISO. And the second way is basically to specify the roles of a CISO in particular documents that describe security. For example, you might have a role for the CISO in, I don't know, for example, access control, so that CISO is in charge of, I don't know, approving access to certain systems. I don't know, also in monitoring and measurement, that CISO in charge of collecting the data, presenting it to the senior management. Another document might be, I don't know, procedure for document record control, where the CISO signs all the documents, and so on and so forth. So if you go for this first option, where you try to summarize all the roles and responsibilities for a CISO in a single document, the biggest challenge there is that you will have to append these documents pretty often, because whenever you change something in your security posture, you will have to document. You will have to change this bigger document itself. If you go for the second approach, that you actually document the roles in particular policies and procedures, which regard to security, is probably an easier way to do it, to maintain it. The problem there might be that you don't have one single document to see everything that CISO is in charge of. So it's for you to really decide what would be the best, I would say, balance when it comes to documenting CISO's role. Okay, great. So let's move on, and now let's go actually for the items which are relevant for the maintenance, ISMS maintenance, and what is basically the role of a CISO in all of these activities. So you will see two slides here. I'll start first with this slide with periodic and regular activities. So periodic review of documents. So as I mentioned already, you will have several documents for security, access control, I don't know, IT security policy, backup policy, and so on and so forth. So basically what the auditor will be looking for is that you actually review these documents periodically. Now you can nominate that this person who is actually in charge of reviewing these documents is CISO, or you might actually nominate someone else. It's really up to you. So to decide who will be the person who is actually the owner of these documents. I would say in the smaller companies, this is usually a security person. In larger companies, it might be actually heads of the departments who are in charge of particular areas. And you will see now also a link to an article which speaks about this, how to manage documents, and you can read a little bit further in this article. Okay, another thing that will be required by the certification auditor is that you actually review incidents. So basically any incident that happens, you will need to create a log and then review those logs to see if there is a connection. Because if you have, let's say, I don't know, if you had 10 incidents last month, with which if you review them separately might not be related, but when you put them all together, there might be a connection. And this is why it is important that this review of incidents is done periodically, let's say once a month or so. And this would be a typical job for CISO. So this is usually what CISO normally does. Also, what is required is that you do a periodic review of security trainings, and this is something that the CISO usually does basically the CISO should actually review if there were, let's say, if you delivered in-house trainings for, I don't know, for 27001, for, I don't know, operating certain cybersecurity technology, these kind of things, you might have, I don't know, HR person who is in charge of this, but still this information should go towards CISO as well, because this person needs to, I mean, CISO needs to be informed whether these trainings were effective or not. You can also see now the link to this article which speaks about training and awareness. So you will also see some further information on you know, how to organize this training and awareness. Okay, very well. Also previously we sent you also one article about how to maintain ISMS after certification. So basically I'll be going through several bullets here, and you can also see these items in this article called how to maintain ISMS after certification. Good. Now, another thing that needs to be done periodically, or let's say at regular intervals, is this risk review. Of course, it's not possible to list each and every risk. You know, it's science fiction. So you always have to add any new risks that are appearing, or any risks that you didn't notify earlier. So if you have some, I don't know, some kind of a risk assessment table or risk register, whatever you're using, you should be periodically, regularly adding these, reviewing these risks and adding any new risks. Again, this is something that is typically done by CISO, because CISO should be ultimately in charge of risk management and making sure that the company's posture, the company's, I would say, the controls are adequate for the risks that are within the company. Okay, the next thing that needs to be done regularly, here is also a article which explains in more detail how to perform risk assessment and treatment, so how to manage risks, so you can read it from this article. So the next thing that needs to be done regularly is also this internal audit, and this is again something that has to be done by someone else, not by a security officer. However, the security officer needs to get the report from this internal audit, and also I would say usually the security officer is the one that either is in charge of resolving all the non-conformities found during the internal audit, or at least needs to be informed about all of these corrective actions and the ways to resolve them. Okay, so there is also an article, you will see now the link to this about the internal audit and basically how to organize it. So it's something that you can read to get some further information. Okay, also one regular thing that needs to be done is this management review. So management review is, well, basically a meeting of the senior management where they make some crucial decisions around security. The CISO's role here is really to prepare all the materials for this meeting. So everything that this senior management needs to discuss, this is something that these topics, these materials have to be prepared upfront by the CISO, and you know, typically this is the something that CISO needs to do. You also see now the link to this article so that you can read a little bit more about management review. Okay, now moving on to the next slides. What else is there to be done by, what else is there to be, that is part of this maintenance, and what is the role of the CISO? And you know, here in this slide you will see several bullets that are, I would say, activities that need to be done basically continuously. Most of these things are done continuously. So as opposed to this previous slide where you could actually plan all of these things in the previous slide, you can actually plan and have some kind of regular, let's say, timing for doing them. What you see now in this slide is really not something that it's not something that you can plan regularly. In most cases, this is something that you are doing on a permanent or regular basis. So, execution of the risk treatment plan. So this is something that has to be done according to the schedule defined in the risk treatment plan. So if you've planned to, I don't know, implement a certain new control, I don't know, is in March next year, then basically this is the timing that you have to follow. Of course, yeah, when it comes to risk treatment plan, usually security officer is the person in charge to, I would say, coordinate and oversee the implementation of the risk treatment plan, since this is a crucial or the key implementation document. The next thing is really the operation of the ISMS. So operating the ISMS basically means that on a daily basis, everyone in the company is, doing whatever is written in the security policies and procedures. For example, I don't know, approving the access. So whenever a new access needs to be approved, it needs to be approved usually by these business, let's say, managers according to access control policy. This part does not have to be executed by the CISO. However, CISO needs to, I would say, monitor that all of these processes are done correctly. So it could be access control, it could be, I don't know, configuring the firewalls, it could be, I don't know, doing the backup. So all of these things are typically not done by CISO, but still CISO needs to be, I would say, informed if all of these things are done properly, and this is something that is part of the monitoring and measuring. This is something that I'll measure a little bit later on in this slide. Okay, also what needs to be done, I would say continuously, is this creating of training materials and training programs, including security awareness. And this could be done by CISO in smaller organizations. It might be done by, let's say, human resources department in larger organizations. But even if this is not done directly by CISO, this is something that should be done. The CISO should be consulted on, let's say, what are the main points, what are the main topics to be covered in this kind of training. Also, when it comes to new employees, these employees have to be onboarded and basically they need to learn what are the security activities. And this is something that, again, CISO needs to be, I would say, it's probably not done directly by CISO, but CISO does need to provide some kind of an onboarding checklist that then someone else will probably present to new employees. And also, as part of the ISMS, the companies will need to perform or will need to raise and then close raise non-conformities and then use corrective actions to close these non-conformities. And these are the things that CISO needs to be, again, if not directly involved, he or she needs to be informed, because anything that is not, I would say, appropriate within security, security officer should be either directly in charge of fixing these things or should be informed on how these things are going. So we'll send you now also this link to this article about corrective actions, but also you also seen this, we've sent you also this link related to how to get certified. So basically here you can see actually all the activities, or basically here you will see a better overview of what it means to get certified, and also a little bit about maintenance. So if you're also interested in this certification aspect, you can read this article. We also send you the link to this complete guide to corrective action versus preventive action. So you will see that this is not a specific article for ISO 27001, but it applies equally to all ISO standards. So it's interesting to read it just to understand this perspective of corrective and preventive actions. Okay, and then we have this monitoring and measuring. So basically monitoring means that company needs to ensure that all of these processes that are related to security are done properly. And then measuring means that you are defining some concrete objectives and then measuring if you are really fulfilling these objectives. These objectives can be, as generic as, I don't know, we want to decrease the number of incidents by 20% in the next year. This could be, let's say, an objective. Or it could be, I don't know, we want to achieve the, I don't know, the availability of our website by 99.99 something %. or it could be even more specific, related to a particular control. I don't know, something related to access control, or something related to backup, these kind of things. So in each cases, I would say that when it comes to setting objectives, usually CISO needs to be involved, especially when it comes to defining the top level objectives, security objectives for the whole company, and I'll speak about it a little bit in the next slide. But when it comes to, let's say, more operational objectives, then CISO should, I would say, consult with other people who are in charge of particular IT assets or security assets, and then agree with them on what kind of objectives would be appropriate. And then when it comes to measurement, whether these objectives are fulfilled, usually CISO is either a person who will collect all this information about measurement, or he or she will delegate this job to someone else. But then when it comes to summarizing all this information and making conclusions and making, I would say, presentation to the senior management, this is definitely the CISO's role. There is also an article around this performing monitoring and measurement, so you will see also this link in the chat window now. Good. Now, another thing that CISO needs to do is really communicate any changes to security. This is also a typical CISO role. This is not done by someone else. It's because, so whenever there is, I don't know, a new policy or procedure related to security, whenever there is I don't know, some new risks or these kind of things, it's normal that actually CISO communicates all of these things, not only to the senior management, but basically to all the employees within the company that need to know this about this. But also more and more CISO is here actually to communicate these things also to anyone else in the supply chain. So partners, suppliers, this kind of let's say targeted audience. Good. Okay, yeah, let's move on further. Now, what exactly, I mean, you've seen that there are lots of things that I mentioned in the previous two slides, but what exactly is this that CISO should not delegate to someone else? And I'm speaking this primarily from ISO 27001 point of view, but you will see that actually it makes sense even though it's even out of the context of 27001. So I would say the CISO should not delegate to someone else, understanding what are really the business needs of security, and figuring out how to support these business needs. So just to give you an example, let's say that a company wants to, let's say, develop a new product, and let's say a high-tech product which has lots of, I don't know, development features within it, and of course it will bring new security risks for the company. So in this case, since if the CISO knows about these business plans, then CISO needs to figure out how to mitigate those risks, how to support the company in this, let's say, business decision to go towards a new product. Or let's say that a company is planning to acquire some other company, right? Because they want to get a better competitive position. Again, this will bring in some new security risks, and again, CISO is here to actually I would say warn the senior management on the additional risks that this will take, but also it's for CISO actually to figure out how to facilitate this process and how to mitigate these risks of acquiring another company. So as you my main point here is that actually CISO is in charge of aligning security with the business direction. Okay, I'll just continue where I stopped. It seems that there was a connection that got lost. So basically, the role of the CISO is really to find out where the business is heading, and therefore to actually create security which will support this business direction and the business plans that the company is having. Basically, also the role of the CISO is to create these top-level security objectives. So basically, to define what exactly the CISO, so the company should achieve from the security perspective. So I already suggested some, let's say, top-level objectives, like decreasing the security. Decreasing the number of incidents, maybe decreasing the costs, but also these top-level security objectives could be in terms of, let's say, adding revenue because of security. So, for example, if a company goes for ISO 27000 certification, this might actually improve the revenue because this will open doors to some other clients that the company might not have so far. So these kind of things, I would say that the security officer is also in charge of. Now, of course, security officer is here to drive a security effort. So again, security officer is not going to do the backup every day, but security officer is, I would say, here to make sure that everything that is being done with regards to security is really effective, that is really implemented. So even though a security officer is not in charge of performing the backup, security officer should be informed whether this backup is being done properly, and if not, then security officer is one of the persons that actually might or should be reacting if this is not properly done. And again, a security officer should be the main link between the top management, the senior management, and security operations. So, and this is done basically by defining these top-level security objectives, and then where you actually, through these top-level security objectives, you have to translate all the business needs into what security needs to be done. And this is exactly how this is done, or how this is being done through how basically the security officers knows what actually needs to be implemented through security. So in other words, basically security officer is here to as this leader for anything related to security. Good. Now let's move on to the next slide, and this is basically how to deal with resistance of employees, because this is very often a question that pops up. Employees don't want to comply with the security, they don't see any benefit in security, these kind of things. And I would say there are basically two methods on how you can actually overcome this problem of security. Of resistance towards security. One method is to raise security awareness and train people. So when it comes to security awareness raising, this is where you explain why security is important. So basically what the hackers can do, what kind of, let's say, what are the best practices for protecting, your laptop? What are the, why is this, why is it important not to leave, I don't know, your laptop in a car? Why is it important to use VPN? All of these things. So basically, when you explain these kind of basic things, then people start to appreciate security more, because they start to understand why this is really important in this digital world. Training is about training people on how they need to do some things. So for example, if you purchased a new backup system, then you will need to train your employees on how to use this new backup system to perform backup. The second method is basically to ask employees, or at least this mid-level management, to participate in the creation of internal rules. And by this I mean the policies and procedures. So let's say that you want to write a new backup policy. One way would be for a CISO to write a backup policy and to send it for approval to senior management, and that's it. Without any consultation. The problem with this approach is that first you will probably alienate any employees that have to perform this backup, and the second problem is that this backup policy will probably be wrong in some aspects, because you never checked it with the IT department. So basically the much better way would be that whenever CISO, let's say, creates the first draft of a particular document, to send it for review to his or her peers within the company. In this case, this would be, let's say, IT department, head of IT, maybe, I don't know, backup administrator or DevOps. And basically in this way, you actually get, first of all, you will get the feedback about this particular document and what needs to be improved. So you will have a better document. And the second thing is, when these people from the IT department see that some of their suggestions were actually implemented through this policy, they will be more committed to actually comply with this kind of a document, right? So I would say that this participation in the creating of rules, in the creation of policies and procedures, is a very, very powerful tool actually to get to actually overcome this resistance. And again, you know, when using these two methods, you will improve the knowledge of your employees through these trainings. You will improve their commitment, and of course, you will improve your security processes and documents. Okay, let me see if there are any comments. Yeah, okay, I see a question around webinar. So yes, the webinar is recorded, and I'll explain actually how to watch the webinar recording at the end of the webinar, this webinar today. Good. Now, yeah, let's see a little bit about tools that you can actually, that a security officer can use for easier maintenance of the ISMS. I would say that there are three types of tools. I might forgot sometimes, but I would say these are the three most common ones. First are, you know, ordinary task management tools, and by task management tools I mean tools like, you know, Jira or Trello or Notion, Asana, Monday, you name it. I mean, there are many of these where you simply, you know, simply create some kind of checklist on what you have to do. Because if you noticed in these first slides I was showing, you know, there are many tasks that you have to perform, and it's much easier to remember them if you have this kind of I don't know, checklist that you have to do. The second, I would say, types of tools are training and awareness tools. So basically, this is where you train your people, but also make them aware of why security is important. And this is, if you remember from my last slide, this is one of the key ways actually to overcome this resistance, right? And there are tools, and I'll show you in a minute one tool that you might also use. And of course, there are GRC tools, so governance, risk and compliance tools. So basically tools that you know, help you perform risk management, help you perform internal auditing, help you perform, I don't know, management review, help you create you know, all kinds of checklists and these kind of things. So basically, these are the things that can help you out. And I'll give you now an idea on what you can do. So let me just switch the screen. Okay, so regarding training and awareness, I'm showing you now this Advisera's company training academy. Yeah, you can also you can see also this link in the chat. So basically, this is a tool which enables you to train and also make raise security awareness for your workforce, entire workforce. So basically, it works like this: that you simply set up a new training. You select a framework, let's say 27001, and then the system suggests you training programs for particular target group within your company. So it could be, I don't know, for senior management or for senior management or for mid-level management or members of the project team, IT employees, any other employees. And then when you select, I don't know, senior management, then it automatically creates, it also asks you for the name, let's say, the country, the language, and then it suggests automatically the lessons to be included with this training. And as you can see, these lessons are usually around 5 minutes. They're in the video format. So I'm not going to let this video running now, but just for you to get a feeling on how it looks like. And basically, it's a way to actually raise awareness and train your people in a very short way so that it doesn't take too much time. And then I'm not going to go further, but then you can set the schedule. How often do you want the system to send these videos to employees? Let's say, I don't know, once a week. And then the system will send email notifications to designated employees and then track if they went through these videos, and then the system creates reports. So this is a product that is based on videos, short videos, easy to understand videos. This is called Company Training Academy, and you can actually see the link here. The thing is, you can actually sign up for a free trial and test it out how it works. Second software is this Conformio ISO 27001 GRC software. So this software is intended for smaller companies. It helps you, of course, with the implementation, so basically implementation steps. But since we are now focusing on maintenance, I just wanted to show you this module called maintenance module. It's also, so you have these implementation steps. This is when you implement, write all the documents, go for risk register, these kind of things. Audit and evidence, this is where you actually prepare for the certification. Once you're certified, you can actually get a checklist of all the activities that need to be done. And then the software suggests you automatically what you have to do, what is the how often this needs to be done, and also what are the actions that have to be done, together with all of these explanations, what needs to be done. So again, you can use Conformio as a software for implementation, but also for maintenance. And you can also see the link for Conformio in this chat window. You can also sign up for a free trial and test how this works. Okay, good. Now let me go back to the presentation. Good. Now, let me go now through some of the biggest challenges that people are facing when it comes to maintenance. And actually, let me show you another thing that I actually launched a poll on LinkedIn. And the poll question is, what are the biggest ISMS challenges, ISMS maintenance challenges for companies that are certified? And strangely enough, the biggest challenge actually turned out to be this continuous ISMS improvement. So almost 50% of people actually answered that this one is the main challenge. Now, this could be interpreted, that, okay, ISMS improvement might be, adding new risks, resolving these corrective actions, training people. All of these things can be actually part of this, I would say, improvement. But, it was kind of, strange to me, funny for me, actually, that this came up as the biggest challenge, and not, let's say, limited resources, which is always cited as, something that is a problem, or, I don't know, creating evidence is, as you can see, pretty low here. Yeah, continuous improvement. Anyway, how to deal with this challenge? Basically, for me, the best way is really to have this, I would say, checklist of all the things that you have to do. And then this is basically the way for you to actually make sure that you are not missing any of these mandatory things that are, I would say, taken all together, the way to improve or continuously improve your ISMS. Okay, going back to my slides. So these are challenges, some of the challenges I received from the attendees. So one challenge is limited resources such as time, budget, and staff can make it difficult to keep up. Okay, this is one obvious challenge. And again, if you have, I would say, a security officer, and if this security officer has a very clear idea on what ISO 27000 requires as part of maintenance, then you can present this to the senior management and explain them that this is basically mandatory if you want to keep the certificate. So I would say, this is really a way to approach this problem. Okay, second challenge was with what controls we need to verify at what frequency. So basically, this is, again, this verification of controls is not specified by the standard. So the standard basically says that each company has to organize and implement these controls as they see fit. So the standard does not specify how often you need to do the backup, right? The standard only requires you to do the backup and to periodically test the restoration of the backup. Now, are you going to perform the backup every 24 hours or every, 6 hours or every 2 hours? This is really up to you. So you have to define how these controls are implemented, And also you have to define how do you verify or how you make sure that these controls are working. And this is done through this monitoring and measurement, and also through internal audit. Internal audit has to be done at least once a year, whereas monitoring and measurement, basically you're doing this on a continuous basis. Biggest challenge is proper planning and responsible people understanding their role in the ISMS maintenance. Okay, this is part of the training. So basically you should use some kind of the training to understand really what are the requirements of ISO 27001 when it comes to maintenance. Another challenge, maintaining the risk assessment. Is difficult to connect them to the risks in the last review period. Okay, so basically it's you should have some kind of a system when you're adding new risks that you simply have a record on when these risks are added, so that you have, I would say, a clear distinction between the risks that existed before and the risks that were added. And what used to be well implemented may be gone when new people come. Again, this is a question of setting clear processes, documenting these processes, and also training. So if you have a clearly documented process on how the backup is done, and if you train a new person on this, then it's highly likely that this new person will be doing this as well as someone who was doing this before. Okay, so these were some of the challenges. So let me go for a conclusion, and then let's go for the Q&A. So if you plan your ISMS maintenance properly and perform it regularly, you will definitely invest less time compared to to the approach where you do it everything in the last second. And on top of this, by maintaining your ISMS regularly, you'll get better results, meaning less incidents, more satisfied employees actually, because they will not be overwhelmed at one point in time. And also the senior management that sees that security is actually something that contributes to the business, okay, to the business success. And of course, you can use a tool like 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗲 to perform this maintenance. And we'll also send you now the meeting link to our 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗲 expert, and he will be able to show you how the 𝗂𝗵𝗶𝘀𝗲 works. Also, he will be able to show you how this company training academy works. So basically, you can simply schedule a call with him to get a demo. Of course, you can also try and do the free trial without getting this demo. So it's up to you. Okay, very well. Now let's move on to the Q&A session. So please do send your questions through chat, and I'll answer all of your questions through chat. While you're sending these questions, just a couple of notes. So first, feel free to reach out to me directly and ask any questions. So I'll give you now the email address. So when whatever questions you may have, feel free to send it here, and I'll try to answer you as quick as I can. Second thing is you can follow me on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So on LinkedIn, I'm posting basically I'm looking for the best articles on cybersecurity governance and cybersecurity strategy, and I'm posting them regularly on my LinkedIn profile. So if you want to get let's say new information about what's happening in this cybersecurity world, you can follow me on LinkedIn. On YouTube, I'm publishing lots of videos on about ISO 27001. So there you will see lots of videos, on how to do risk management, internal auditing, what are the implementation steps. To be honest, I didn't publish any videos on maintenance, but it's also on my to-do list. There are also some videos on how to on training and so on. So it's quite useful if you want to learn through this video format. And we'll send you now also this link to these profiles. You can see them in chat window. Good. And the third thing is my next webinar next Wednesday will be how to organize training for ISO 27001, NIS2 and DORA. There I'll explain, how to pick the topics for NIS2 for 27001 training, what are the potential ways to deliver these trainings, what are the target groups within your company to deliver these trainings to. So I'll cover all these topics next Wednesday, and you can actually sign up for these webinars using these links that you'll see in the chat window now. Good. Now let me see if there are any questions coming in. So not many questions. So I hope I didn't frighten you with this webinar so that you don't have any questions. And yeah, but nothing is coming in, unfortunately. So, okay, if there are no other questions, then let me wrap up the webinar. Just a few words before we finish. As I mentioned, this webinar was intended really to give you an overview of ISO 27001 maintenance and the role of the CISO. Really, the idea was not to go into implementation steps or, I don't know, risk management, these kind of things, but to learn more about, these things. Feel free to sign up for this company training academy. You'll find lots of videos on ISO 27001 there, and also you can sign up for Conformio, which will give you, let's say, a practical way to deal with these requirements of the standard. Now, regarding the presentation deck, we'll publish this PDF presentation deck together with all the links from today's webinars on the same page where you are watching the webinar now. Simply go back and come back, leave this page open and come back in, let's say, 10 minutes. And in the comments section, you will see the links, all these links. Again, links for the webinar, for this PDF presentation deck, but also all the links that we shared during the webinar will also be summarized there. And finally, you'll see our a link to our short survey. So please give it a minute or two to answer the survey. It's very short. It's only 3 questions, but it will help us a lot if you give us the feedback, just for us to know what we need to improve. And this would be all. Thank you very much for your participation, and I hope you have enjoyed this webinar. Have a nice day.